Hey everyone, Jason Weckerly here. Today we're doing a book review on one of my favorite bass players of all time and one of my favorite bands of all time, Black Sabbath. And that bassist is Geezer Butler. And he put out a book recently called Into the Void, From Birth to Black Sabbath and Beyond. This is his autobiography, and it's not a very thick book. I read it in literally 3 or 4, probably 3, I'd give it 3 to 5 days, but from beginning to end, this book was entertaining, it was funny, it was sad in some parts, but there's a lot of humor in this book, and there's a lot of humor with Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi, all those guys. They were practical jokesters, they did some crazy things. Not just drugs and alcohol, but they did some crazy things. And Geezer Butler details a lot of funny stories in this book. He details the stories about the recording of the albums, the songs, the tours, the ins and outs of Black Sabbath and his career and life, basically. And I absolutely love this book. I love the book I Am Ozzy. I love Iron Man by Tony Iommi, and this book went right along with those two books perfectly, like a collection. I'm only hoping that Bill Ward, the drummer, if Bill is watching this, put out your autobiography next. This book cracked me up at times. The story, like one of the funnier ones, is like when Bill Ward was recording Black Sabbath, they were recording Volume 4, their fourth album. And I think they were staying at a mansion or a castle or something, and there was a balcony. And Bill kept drinking a lot, and he kept having to go pee. So he would just go and relieve himself off the balcony. And Tony Iommi, the guitar player, being the trickster, the practical joker he is, got this can of blue spray paint and waited for Bill to come out on the balcony above him to go take a piss. And he sprayed him all over his junk with this blue spray paint. It's not that funny of a story considering Bill almost died because of this, because the paint was toxic and it got into his pores and gave him poisoning. But it's a funny story because that's the type of crap that Black Sabbath was about. The humor. Everyone knows them for the darkness of the music, the heaviness. But these guys, I mean, come on, Ozzy Osbourne, they had a sense of humor. If they were dealing with Ozzy all those years, I'm a huge Ozzy fan, love him to death. But that guy was a freaking maniac. And it would only take someone with a little bit of maniac in their hearts to be able to deal with him every day. And they did practical jokes on Ozzy. They did practical jokes on every single member of that band got their hazing. Let's put it that way. There's even a story, I can't remember if I read it in this book or if it was Tony's book, where they were staying in a castle that was haunted, recording, I believe, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and Tony got the idea to remove the floorboards underneath probably Bill Ward's bed or Geezer's bed, I can't remember, and put an amplifier speaker inside the floor and put the boards back, put the bed back, make everything look normal again. So when the guy went to bed, he falls asleep and all of a sudden they lock the door on him so he can't get out, and they start making these demonic sounds through the speaker system under the floor, waking him up. He's terrorized, he's screaming bloody murder, thinking it's a ghost. They're all laughing their asses off. I mean, that's the type of crap you read about in this book, Iron Man by Tony Iommi, or I Am Ozzy. You get these funny stories. You also get stories about the serious stuff that went on, like when Geezer played a show here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I'm from. He had a beer bottle chucked at his head, hit him right in the head and injured him really bad. He had to go to Mount Sinai Hospital in Milwaukee to get all stitched up, and then a riot broke out. Cop cars were getting flipped over. I mean, just Milwaukee showing how classy they are as usual, because everyone's got to riot and shoot each other, and We got some weirdos around here, that's for sure, but I'll get back to Black Sabbath now. I mean, there's just so many funny stories in this book. There's so much history. You learn about how he came from poverty post-war, post-World War II, Birmingham, England. These guys were playing in bomb shelters and broken down buildings from the war as their playgrounds. I mean, they would be built like playing in a trench that was created by a bomb that went off just a few years before they were born. But it's just amazing that Black Sabbath came from nothing and they made such a big impact in history. They to me they single-handedly created heavy metal music. Everyone wants to give that to Jimi Hendrix or Cream or MC5 or whoever came out first, Led Zeppelin. Black Sabbath were already creating music when Led Zeppelin put out their first album. The only difference is Black Sabbath were truly frickin' balls to the wall heavy, writing about the darkest subject matter. There was nothing as heavy as Sabbath until Metallica came along. I mean, Iron Maiden, they were heavy, but like Judas Priest, all these bands were heavy, but they were not as heavy as Black Sabbath. Jimi Hendrix, to me, was more hard rock blues, and I could see how his guitar playing influenced heavy metal. But Tony Iommi was heavy metal. Geezer Butler was heavy metal. Bill Ward was heavy metal, and Ozzy was heavy metal. These guys were creating gloom and doom. Everything heavy metal became was because of Black Sabbath. The very name Black Sabbath says it all. And there was a band from Chicago called Covenant or Coven. They came out about 1 year before Black Sabbath put out their first album. On the cover, they had satanic imagery. They were showing this, which Dio became famous for, the devil horns on the cover. And the first song was called Black Sabbath. Really weird. They were a satanic band. But that band was not playing heavy metal music. If you hear the album, it was dark, it was gloomy. But as soon as you hear the song Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, that first power chord and that first riff after the rain and thunder, that's where heavy metal was born. And Geezer Butler is one of the most underrated bass players of all time. I think every time I pick up a bass guitar, I'm a guitar player. I play keyboards, I play bass, a little bit of drums. But every time I pick up a bass, I find myself figuring out a Black Sabbath song almost every time. I find my style dives really deep into Geezer Butler's style. I love, Geddy Lee. I love Geezer Butler. I love a lot of bass players. Justin Chancellor from Tool. I love Jaco Pastorius. John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin. I mean, Cliff Burton from Metallica. I mean, there's a lot of great bassists. But Geezer Butler had a swinging, jazzy vibe to his bass playing, and he was playing the riff while filling in the notes in between always. It was like he was almost every riff he plays is like a solo in itself. Very underrated and unappreciated when it comes to bass guitar circles, when you hear people talk about great bass players. But when it comes to rock and roll, heavy metal bass guitar players, it didn't get better than Geezer Butler. And I loved this book. In fact, I loved Iron Man by Tony Iommi. I loved I Am Ozzy. This is the thinnest of all the books in that little trilogy. And this book, to me, kept me entertained far more than the other two books. But those other two books are damn good as well. It's just this one, he was the lyricist for Black Sabbath. So he's the storyteller, and this book shows what a great writer and author he is. But very few people realize that it wasn't Ozzy writing most of the lyrics in Sabbath. It was Geezer Butler. He touched base on religion, politics, war, human emotions, The list goes on and on. Fantasy, paranormal things, like every single thing in between. This guy got to the point and just wrote amazing lyrics. And he was a killer bass guitarist. I don't know if I mentioned that. Just kidding. But if you guys are a Sabbath fanatic like myself, get this book right here, Into the Void. This is an amazing book. If you guys like this video, subscribe to my page, hit the like button. I'll be putting out honest to heart reviews on anything that interests me. We'll see where this page goes, and if it takes off, I'll cover a lot more topics and stuff like that. But I'm into progressive rock, I'm into progressive metal, heavy metal, black metal, death metal, doom metal, blues, jazz, classical music, alternative rock. I'm into rock and roll history, I'm into music history, and I pick up books sometimes from artists that I don't even care about and never listen to and find that I like them also. So I might slip in books here and there or CD reviews. I'll check out just about anything, but I'm really trying to cover the things that interest me the most as a music fanatic and nerd. As a musician, Black Sabbath is top 5, if not top 3, for the biggest impact on my musical path in life. Subscribe to the page, hit the like button, and get yourself this book. Take care.